First, let me introduce Joe. Joe is a learning and training manager for Smarcom, an international company. Smarcom Inc. was founded in the 60s and operates in 48 nations. It now has $30 billion in annual revenue, generating an annual profit margin of $8 to $9 billion. Although Smartcom Inc. is primarily focused on making money as a global communication giant, Joe's job is to better manage the training programs, such as reducing travel expenses and optimizing the time that Smartcom technicians stay at their work site. Joe is interested in using e-learning techniques to better support training, including delivery of instructions or modifications of training materials. So Joe, tell me more about what you do at Smartcom.
Well, Smarcom is a multinational-based corporation, and I work with large suppliers and train them on how to build electronic-based training quickly and efficiently. The most challenging aspects of working globally is to deal with internal corporate politics and to also ensure better communication among all stakeholders. Also, of course, time is money.
What are the global issues, culture, learning styles, motivation, team building, etc. you have faced when designing or developing the training?
Well, this is a great question. I've seen lots of these issues, such as culture, learning style, and motivation, mentioned in books and journals, but the issues that I have faced are not in the instructional design part, but more in the availability of technology, the constraints of corporate politics. For instance, sometimes the training sites in other countries just don't have the basic facilities or materials that we take for granted in Western cultures. One time we were building a quite technology-savvy training for employees in China, only to find that there were no training rooms, they didn't have any headsets available, the participants didn't even have access to email. And also, all documents are in English, which, that can be a barrier, of course, for non-native speakers.
You mentioned about corporate politics. Can you give us an example?
Well, disagreements about who would help whom and the best manner in which this might be resolved or that might be resolved. Another issue is about intellectual property. Who owns Smarcom intellectual properties?
Any other cultural differences you might have observed?
Mainly in the modality of the work. Some people prefer to work solo, while others prefer to work in groups. There are gender issues too. In some countries, women are hired for specific duties. For example, working in factories or something like that.
What changes would you suggest?
To globalize the training. We will first need to remove the westernized perspectives and analogies, and we'll need to make the material more relevant to the particular country where the training is occurring.
Thank you so much. I imagine localization can be another challenge for a global company like yours.
Oh, definitely. Some of the global issues and challenges that Smartcom faces include providing opportunities for collective training for other countries. Collective training is opposite to the individualized and personalized training as used here in the U.S., and also the translation of training materials. For example, in China, many employees would rather complete the web-based training as a group instead of individually. Chinese culture is known for being collective, and the individualized training makes people feel insecure about their performance. To solve this problem, Smartcom would use a facilitator to present the content to the Chinese employees and then allow them to complete the training in a group rather than individually.
That is very interesting. Earlier you mentioned language barrier. Would you please elaborate on that?
Well, this is quite a headache for my department. All of Smartcom's documentation is in English, but most of the employees in other countries do not speak English. So these materials will have to be translated. However, our peer trainers in the respective countries translate only what would be necessary, and we don't always agree on what are the most important parts of a training program. Oftentimes, the essential content of the training is lost from my perspective.
Have you found a way to solve this problem?
Yes, I have, actually. I've looked into more styles of visual learning, so I'm trying to use programs like Breeze or Captivate. Breeze is a live presentation tool, and Captivate can be used to capture a live demonstration, which is very cool. When using both programs, we can simply replace the audio with language that is spoken in the respective countries. So, in general, when creating training materials for audio delivery, we try to limit the text and images used in those materials. Text and images can cause confusion when used in a different culture.
I really like to work for a global company when I finish my study in EdTech. Can you give me some advice on how to better prepare myself?
Well, first, learn to speak the language of business. Companies are interested in the bottom line, budgets, dollar signs, not necessarily instructional design. Instructional designers need to be able to translate their meaning into the language of business. Second, it's important to develop metrics to measure the critical success of projects, so this also addresses the need to bring to the bottom line when selling your successes to a corporate environment. Third, you need to master systems that allow you to get the work done faster. For instance, producing larger quantities of material, using learning management systems, and using robust authoring tools to save time in creating or reusing content.
Wow, I can feel the pressure. What are the ways you can use and create and reuse content?
Well, I've been using SCORM, which is Shareable Courseware Object Reference Model, and SCO, which is Shared Content Object, and they save me lots of time and money. I have a fourth piece of advice for you, actually. You'll need to listen and understand the needs of the people for whom you are designing the training. So that might seem obvious, but you really need to be able to read between the lines to get to the real meaning. For example, in India, although they might be saying yes, 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 what they really mean maybe is no, no, no. So you'll really need to be familiar with the local customs and cultures. Finally, in places that have quick turnovers, it's a really good idea to use a blog to capture the knowledge and skills of those who leave sooner than maybe desired.
Thank you so much, Joe. I learned a lot by talking to you. Good luck with your work at Smarcom.